done lately? It's coons. What have y'all done for us lately? And if there's no answer, the only thing we owe them.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk 2. And tonight we'll be continuing our discussion in reference to protections policy for the Negro American. And last week we had a very, very good discussion with Sister Kim, Brother Roland, and myself. And the response was really, really good. Roland, your mic is muted. And we really, really had a good conversation, good talk in reference to it. And really getting understand and pull back the layers of who we are. And we didn't really get into policy, but tonight's show is to try to get into policy and protections and to get legislation passed. You would think that as long as we've been here, indigenous to this land, part of the
can't hear.
part of the Atlantic slave trade, you would think that we would, have some protection set up in this land. So with that, we have Kim and Brother Roland here, and we're going to discuss.
Hello.
We're going to discuss some of these protections. What's up, bro?
Hey, the reason why I was on mute because Rhapsody, she's kind of in her mood, if you get what I mean. So I've been trying to get her to quiet down a little bit. The joys of being a cat dad.
Yeah. Sister Kim dropped. I mean, there's something going on with her connection because she actually said she couldn't hear me just now when I was talking, but I heard her when she said it. But anyway, apologize for that. What's going on, bro?
Nothing much, but I definitely want to talk about what are some of the protection plan strategies that we have. One through the Negro Black Knights Heritage Club, and the other one is going to be through the NBNU, and how these two entities interlock for our protection for Negro Americans. And one of the comments I used to say way back when, I would say about almost 3-4 years ago, if your civics is not right, then your politics are not right. Civics are the basic building blocks of politics. And my organization is a civic-based type of organization to create those basic building blocks that we need to be successful and getting these protections and stuff of that nature that is needed underneath the NBNU. So
let me ask you a question before you get into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you speak about protections and policy that's geared towards a specific ethnicity in this country, and when you look at this ethnicity has been part of the fabric of the country since it was before long we was even a country. Are you shocked and amazed that no protections are put in place for this specific ethnicity?
Yes and no. I'll go off as a no because of our origin here in America through the transatlantic slave trade, from us being chattel property, and then us changing from that status into being what they would consider human status or citizen status here in America. But when you have decisions like the Dred Scott decision saying, I don't have to respect the rights of a Negro or a Black American, that opens up the door to put us back into that same fallen state. So that's what I mean by yes and no. That yeah, I understand that we might have these things, but the real reality is that in some regards we still haven't advanced the way that we ought to back to our rightful position and be made whole. This is why lineage-based reparations is needed. Us creating our own government is needed to provide those protection because, like, let's keep it frank, the government has failed us. They have not created any policies over 400 plus years. They didn't even see the value in that, but we do. That's why the NBNU is here. That's why we should support our own government. And like I said in previous broadcasts, the end goal for delineation is delineating ourselves or drawing the lines to build our own nation. No different from when they talked about Special Field Order 15. The Negroes during that time frame saying, "Hey, we don't even want to be bothered with y'all. We need separation. We need time to breathe from the pains that you have inflicted on our people." And that's all right. That's all right as being the victims of such a human atrocity, such as U.S. chattel slavery.
Go ahead, keep going, keep talking, bro. You ain't got to mute your mic.
That was it. No, that was it. I'm just making sure that the feedback of the my little cat friend ain't coming through. That's the reason why.
So as you begin, I got a few things here. Hold up.
But if Sister Kim has something that she wants to add, I think she's back.
Cheers. Sister Kim, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Thank you for asking.
And do you have
So
anything you want?
let me ask you. I know you're seasoned, Sister Kim.
Thank
You've
you.
seen a lot. You've seen a lot since you've been here, and when you start doing your research, like I asked Roland, you pull back the layers of this thing. Were you surprised that it wasn't no specific protections for this specific ethnicity that has basically been the whipping boy of this country domestically?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's time for us to do some critical thinking with those questions. And I'll just pause for a minute here. As far as really thinking, should we or should it have been protection in place? And the question to the answer is absolutely not. And you'll say, well, why do I say that? It's because I've never seen me who own dogs let my dogs become the owner of me or try to protect, the dogs to oversee my household human rights. Dogs are not capable of doing that. And that's how America has always seen us as animals or less than. So then why would they begin to allow their dogs that they consider dogs to oversee their mindset as owners? So no, they wouldn't protect, they would never provide us with any protections. That was never the plan. Actually, there's a book out that was called Negroes to Annihilation. So it was actually just to keep us as their property and then ultimately annihilate us and get rid of us. And so, but we have been blessed by God, and that has not happened. But the way that we're living less than, without standards, without practice, without protocols, without principles, it is easier now to remove us by invasion. It's easy to remove us by imperialism, where most of the things that we have, it still goes into the systems, from Black women not protecting their children properly, from we have foundational family structures that has fallen apart, where it's mixed up, where the laws of men being with men is no longer the principle of righteousness. And then you have women who have now decided to oversee men with the authority that they are CEO both on corporate and in the home life. So there's less nurturing that is needed to build a community. So these things are now broken from the ownership of the mindset of the leaders who leaded us in a way of destruction after they discarded us and misused us, mistreated us, punished us, condemned us, and then the last attempt is to discard us. So now the Lord is working, or let's just say the mindset of the people who are greater than the oppressor are now beginning to ask, what must we do to liberate ourselves from our oppressor? So I hope that answered the question and giving the audience and different individuals something to think about as far as have we fallen too far in the pit of everyone else desire for us and not having a desire or ideal or any kind of vision that we will not perish, because at this point they always have desired us to perish, but it was the mercy and grace of God that we haven't perished. But now it's a time for us to do right by each other before, the scriptures say without a vision, the people will perish. So we're pretty much close to that brink. And the NBNU is a deliverer of that particular problems that we have. And I hope to be able to express that protection out just a little bit more to help our people.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're just going to take our little time today and
Nice.
discuss it, because we really want to hit home the fact, because really, what happens after delineation? What happens after delineation? We can talk, and it's rightfully so. Delineation is long overdue. Delineation really was always happening, but we were delineating for all the wrong reasons. But now, when you start saying this type of delineation and why it's needed to understand delineating based off of lineage, delineating off of just giving more clarity, because everybody has fell into what they call this blanket blackness. And you even see it even from last week when we described it in media now, when they, at one time when they would say a crime, they would say suspect was black or this, that, and the third. And you even see media changing now where they're literally saying a person's ethnicity. They're delineating, because the fact of the matter remains, with this immigration situation going on in the country, it is time to separate people based off of lineage, based off of their origin and where they're from. And it's very important. And I hope that at this moment, like you said, Sister Kim, sometimes things may not appear to be going in your favor, but the reality is that they are.
Yeah.
If you're doing right, you're speaking right, you're doing what you got to do. I personally, in my personal opinion, as far as this renaissance of delineation movement, I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to really get what we would say some tangibles.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a question, or and was you still giving it to me, or did you want Brother
No,
Roll?
no, it wasn't a question, but you go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say this and turn it over to Brother Roland because he could talk more about the reason the delineations came out from our perspective, and now where we're headed from delineation to the NBNU, which is a sovereign, independent. It's a state within a state. It's a nation within a nation. It's already been established. It's already legalized. It's already fighting in our behalf, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about the 581 million dollars that we have actually began to recover in the behalf of our people under this government. But I'll go ahead and let Brother Roland kind of expound a little bit on the delineation, why it was important to have it, and then where we go from here with it, with the Negro Black Knight Heritage Club, and then the connection and the collaboration with the NBNU.
All right. Thank you, Sister Kim. So some of the things that we started to observe, especially at the height of delineation, originally started socially, was based off the case of reparations. People were trying to play, I would say, ignorant in the media, and that's me being nice about it, and saying, well, what black folks are you going to give it to? Is it all black folks? Like that was kind of the echo and the sentiment for the past 2 or 3, I would say like about 3 or 4 years when we were pushing for reparations. And then when you guys got like when you have people like Colin Cruz or Candace Owens and others that are popping up who are not from our lineage, saying that we don't need reparations during pivotal, I would say, interactions in regards with the United States government and us, and they put these individuals in the way as a buffer class to speak on behalf of us. That's when like got people such as Brother Tyreek Nasheed and others started to look at like, hey, this guy is not even us. This guy is Puerto Rican, or this chick is Haitian. And that's when, and also the other aspect is when we were protesting and fighting against police brutality and things that were unjust to our community, we always had a strain of groups of individuals who will pop up randomly during these protests and derail the whole conversation of what we're talking about, to immigrant rights, to trans rights, and LGBTQ, and then it always reverts and flips back to the Black American community as if we're the problem. It always has happened in some way, degree of fashion. They'll say, well, this is the reason why we need to have protect all Black people, because it's the trans are getting targeted too, and this is like kind of some of the things that were being pushed during that time frame. And people started to look back, and we started to peel back the layers, like, who is this person? Where are they from? Like we started asking, whose uncle is this? Like, whose man's is this? That's where we got that from. Whose man's is this? Because we really wanted to know, who are these people? Who are they family from? And who's vouching for them to speak on behalf of us? Because the things that they were doing was basically diametrically opposed to the advancement of our people. And that was kind of the start of what delineation, from what I observed, what came to be. Then when we started interacting with these immigrants socially here in America, then we actually heard verbatim what they were saying. And then they're coming into spaces, disrespect us, calling us bullet bags, alligator bait, slaves, running mock slave auctions socially. And it started to elevate it from there to like 0 to 100, like a Drake song. And then we started to really look at it like, who are saying this, where they're from, where's their country like, why do they have these type of positionality? And that's when we start to click and say, hey, these people may look like us, but they're not like us, like the Kendrick song. And that's kind of what I seen, what was the origins of delineation from a social standpoint in the New Age. We got to keep in mind, Dr. Claude Anderson was one of the, I would say, progenitors, or one of the fathers of delineation, when he talked about ethnic aggregation in his book Powernomics. That was one of his things that he specifically talked about, having communities that was built for us, having street signs named after us, having businesses named after us, leaving a cultural coded marking in regards to each one of these institutions, such as a hospital, such as a school, such as a daycare facility, with the intentions of warning other ethnic groups out of our space. So that was the precursor of delineation through his works of Powernomics. And then we could fast forward into today, where it's full blown out delineation, even socially, where people will say, hey, I'm not even going to associate with this person if I think that they're this, that, and the third. And some people are doing what they did, like a Special Field Order 15. We need complete separation from you guys. And people will try to say, well, y'all Negroes are trying to go into segregation. You're trying to push us into segregation. And that's kind of the narrative that they try to reverse engineer back onto us when we're trying to delineate and separate. But the thing is that I'm going to push back on is segregation. It was implemented by the United States government based off of unfair policy. Delineation and separation is by our own choice. Two different things. We're choosing to make that decision, not the United States government, because we have a right to choose if we want to participate with these individuals or not. And that's a part of living in a free market society, that's living in the society that we're living in. We can make those decisions. So that's our God-given right. That's our constitutional right. So those are just some of the things that when you look from delineation, from all the way back from Dr. Claude Anderson talking about it, to how it's being even revigorated in this day and age, as a form of a renaissance and I would say between the time of 2018 to the present day. So that's to kind of give you some more
Okay.
context.
No, I was listening to what you were saying, and I appreciate you uh giving the audience some background. So now, when we delineate, now what?
Great question. That was what one of the tethers will come up. They'll come up on Brother Tyreek's show, and they'll say, "So after delineation, what's the end goal of delineation? What is the end goal of delineation, Brother Tyreek?" And they were mocking him and mocking our people for taking a stance of self-preservation. So I was like, "Know what? I'm tired of you guys making a mockery of what we're trying to do as a people. The end goal, from my perspective, is us having our own nation, having a nation within a nation. If you look at the Native Americans, hypothetically, that is a Pacific ethnic group of people on a certain geographic location in which they control and they run their own government. I could point to the Amish people, kind of, even though they're still underneath the United States, but they have a geographic location that they control in their own means. I could point to the small hat community, the Jewish community, the J-men, or whatever. They kind of do the same similar thing. I could point to Chinatown. I could point to Koreatown. All these demographics have their own unique way of delineating here in the United States, with them be able to set up their own enclaves to keep outside, to keep rest of America from invading their space. We're the only group that allows other ethnic groups to come in our space, and we don't even know who they are. They don't contribute to any of the things that we want them to do. They don't donate to any of the children fundraisers, but yet still they'll take our kids' money every single day at those little corner stores. Heck, they even get bold enough to try to unalive them if they think that they're stealing an orange juice or something. So, yeah, I think that delineation is something that we do need to do. Build it up in our own governments, in our own situation to protect ourselves. I think that that's the only righteous and truthful thing to do in regards to the bombardment of immigrants that have been coming to America since after Reconstruction.
So let me ask you, what does protection actually mean in policy?
Great. So when it comes to look into the policy aspect, first, I gave you some of the charts and some of the things that we were focused on. Remember when I said that civics is the basic building blocks of politics? So if we're not doing things on a civic level, on a smaller level, it's going to be very difficult to replicate it in a political sense. So what you're looking at, for those that are looking at this manual, this is one of the manuals, a shorthand manual of the Negro American Freed Slave Cultural Recreation and Reconstruction. The goal is to recreate and reconstruct what was harmed by our people so we can get back to our proper standing. You can, I think the next page, and it will be the table of content, but you can go flip to the first one. Yep. And the other one, please, Brother Q. All right. This is the Negro American Freed Slave Lineage and Heirs distinction marks. So what we're talking about is creating a lineage filter audit. So we're making sure people who are Negro American people are getting the resources or getting what's owed, taking out all these other admixtures and all these other demographics and putting them into their rightful place as well by dividing or by separating these type of things. The POC, people of color dilution, that's been going on in regards to them accepting by ethnics. When you go look at other ethnic groups, they really don't accept by ethnics on that level unless they're trying to make marriage right, meaning that they go back and they marry somebody from that community to produce a child back into the community. But if they're not doing those things, they normally do not uphold that person as a part of their community. Asian people practice that practice. White people practice that practice. A lot of people around society practice this practice as a form of self preservation for their lineage, their bloodline, their culture, and their inheritance. What has been happening since the one drop rule, they're saying, hey, these Negroes, even if they might have a fourth of Negro stock blood, they're still a Negro because they have this little small trace of Negro stock blood. And that has diluted our bloodline, that has diluted our people, and sometimes even put those people in the forefront to represent us. And that has done a tremendous amount of harm, where it got to the point where you have a Rachel Dolezal coming through, this white woman who's posing as a biracial, trying to interfere with the advancement of our people through organizations such as the NAACP and stuff of that nature. So that's where it gets even dangerous. The tether redirection of entity. So what we're talking about is the grants, the MLK scholarships. That stuff needs to be redirected to us. It is a crying shame that these schools will not give an award to a Black American student who actually really needs these funds because of these historical disadvantages, for them to give it to another group who just came here to America. And these are some of the things that I know that Dr. Short has experienced. I've ever experienced it on a higher educational level. I'm thinking, hey, I got a good GPA. Hey, I done very well. Let me put in for these scholarships to only be denied by a whole nother ethnic group that's not even tied to the experience. Then we go into the general Freedman fraud that's been going on. There's people who are using tribal situations and propelling Native Americans at the expense of the Negroes of the transatlantic slave trade. That's another way domestically, from my perspective, that they're trying to POC the reparations. They're trying to muddy the waters of reparations to the point where it's the people who were tribals that were disbanded. Like some of these tribes were a part of the Confederacy, as a part of the Confederates. And some of their punishment was for them to be dissolved as a tribal nation and to be absorbed into the Negro Black American experience. That was some of their punishment. Instead of them just being quiet or reconstructing whatever they had and going a new direction, what has been seen is that some of these groups have tried to obstruct the certain reparations task force, such as like the California one, where you had this young man said, I'm from a land of feathers, your people from a land of tethers, and so forth and so forth, disrespecting older Negro people who survived Jim Crow and all this other stuff. It's just and they persevered through the civil rights movement. So these are just some of the things. The Juneteenth erasure, where these groups have spent the better of their time trying to make it a flat Black holiday where all groups in the diaspora is participating, profiteering, and making it a global diversity holiday when it is a Pacific domestic holiday for a Pacific group of lineage and people. No different from the Irish Day or St. Patrick's Day. That is specifically for Irish Americans. You do not see all white Americans trying to be Irish per se and profiteer, steal and take and malign, and without giving some type of reverence to the Irish people.
Let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
do you think whose responsibility is that to implement these things and the following?
That's where the NBNU comes into play. That's when the Negro Black Knights Heritage Club comes into play. We're the ones who should be protected and will be protecting these type of things, because we're able to see these things and we'll be able to organize other groups to fall into sync with this. There needs to be like a universal front to protect our inheritance, to protect our legacy. That's the part of the reason why this organization is called the Negro Black Knights Heritage Club. We're preserving our
let me
heritage.
ask you. Let me ask you. You see it. You see it more on social media than I would say Sister Kim does. Do you think it's more of people don't know, or you think it's more blatant that people just doing what they want to do and just pillaging the village, as we would say?
I I'm It's the second one. They know what's going on. They want to pillage. They on that Dred Scott attitude. I don't have to respect the rights of a Negro. Heck, I will willing to step on a Negro's back to get where I want to. And I dare you to do something about it. Since they saying we daring people to do something about it, there's people that is willing to do something about it from a legal aspect to protect and preserve our community. We have a right to have self-preservation. That's the main goal of why these things are in play to begin with, because the main goal, what Sister Kim has said, is Negro annihilation with these individuals. Their goal is to get rid of the people who they made a profit off of, so they will not pay for the crimes and the sins that they committed, which is
What
the
about
original sins of
what?
slavery.
What about the NAACP? They don't protect black people.
No, NAACP protects all people, and they have been for a very long time,
What about the
and
Urban League?
they protected all people too.
I say that tongue in cheek.
No, I know, I know. I'll go so
I
far
say
as
it
to
tongue in
say,
cheek.
I
You
would
know,
say,
you would think, right, and what you're saying, and using the historical references, and it's it's mind boggling, but it's really not when you look at organizations that have came up. And yes, we are a lineage. However, when you think about what the lineage has been going through all these years, there's never been an organization. Well, it's been some, but it's never been a long lasting organization that has basically been there as a vehicle to make sure that this lineage is protected. You do see that within other ethnicities in this very same country. People that some of them haven't even been in the country in mass numbers for 50 years, 100 years. I mean, the Arabs wasn't in the country like in mass until the 70s. Now they have things that protects the Arab American or the Arabs that's here as immigrants. So
and you can
getting
point.
people.
Wait,
Go
wait.
ahead. Go
Let me
ahead.
point onto something too. You can even point to LULAC too, and which helps protect Hispanics or Latino speaking people, right? And they use their culture, they use these different things, and they consider that a civil rights organization. They consider that a civil rights organization. I'll go one step further. They have even watered down the term civil rights, because everybody is advocating for rights underneath the guise of civil rights nowadays. If you're handicapped, if you're purple, green, blue, then hey, they're fighting for your civil rights. Screw the Negroes' rights, who's been here first since the inception of America. It's your rights that their rights that matter. It's their rights that matter that they're trying to push. So it's nefarious, the erasure that is going on that was built off of our people's backs to be given to other groups of people at our expense.
Mm, very interesting. Very very interesting to have this discussion because you start to realize how gatekeepers in our community has done. And speak on that, Ron, on being gate kept and not being able to advance, keeping us,
Yes,
like you said, referring us still as the Dred Scott Negroes.
yeah. One of the things I talked about was in the book. Let me grab it real quick. Let me grab it real quick, because I specifically in delineationology I talked about, it was two aspects. One of them was, it was dealing with the D9s in regards to them running interference, and you've seen it in the California Task Force, and it was the terminology that I used. because I want to make sure I get it right. It's the preferential redlining of professional Negroes. So they'll use these civic organizations such as the NAACP, the D9s, aka the Boule. We talk about this on this channel all day long. The Divine Swine and these type of individuals who will gatekeep and kick out certain type of Negro Black American people, such as myself and others who are on this channel. They will block those Negroes out because they'll actually push for the change that is required to protect and preserve our lineage and our people versus the get along, go along gang that has been going on ever since the fall of King and Brother Malcolm X. Right? So that's just some of the things, and they're using the institutions that create those leaders to pump out, like it's almost like a coon factory. Just to put it like these individuals, we just talked about, you guys I think talked about Jasmine Crockett. She's a Delta, right? She's actually a Delta B. So it's not the fact that these organizations are not being producing the leaders. It's the fact that they're not producing the quality of leaders that we need for us to fight this current fight. So instead of us complaining about the outcome that we're seeing, how about we create the institutions that and present the reality that we want to see and push the reality that we want to see? That's when the Negro Black Knights Heritage Cup comes into play. That's when the NBNU falls into play. Instead of us crying about the government that we're underneath of, what is stopping us from joining and for people to participate in our government with the intentions of seeing our justices fulfilled? Because at the end of the day, it was the American government that put our people in chains and still haven't gotten us out. They even created loopholes in the other amendments so they can keep us as slaves.
Lindsey Graham said that Black Americans reparations was Obama.
And then I'll say to Lindsey Graham is this. First of all, Obama's not even black. Let's start there. He's not even black. And for him to say that is what tangibles has Obama have given Black American people since he got majority of our votes? What policies has he pushed after he left his office? What has he ever pushed for reparations? Have he ever said, "Hey, I was wrong to say that to Tyzer Coates and saying that the immigrants were more important than the Negroes here in this land"? Has he ever repented from that and changed his ways? Heck, he just screwed over a black woman the other day, Jasmine Crockett, even though I don't like her. He just screwed over her the other day. He supported and upheld a white boy who's supporting trans and LGBTQ policies, and he's not even married. So when you see these things that are going on and the people that he's endorsing, he's not in it to help our people. He hasn't. So how's that our reparations when everybody have access to Barack Obama? We want something exclusively for us.
Mr. Kim, you want to add on anything to that?
Yeah, I appreciate Brother Roland's tenacity and giving the audience an opportunity to understand how the delineation came about, and then how we are actually moving from the delineation to membership based on lineage, where visuals can come in and be a part of an exclusive people who suffered through slavery, and they are owed restorative justice. It's just really asinine to me for someone to steal from someone and not call him a thief. That's 2 + 2 = 4. It's asinine to have, you to be deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid to understand that, something was built on somebody else's back for free. And then you don't want to pay that person. That means you are a person without integrity. So I'm here as the NBNU. It's pretty much nothing anybody could do about it anyway, because it's already built, it's already established, and it is coming with the sword of righteousness and truth and righteousness to judge the immoral behavior that has been happening for so many years against the Negroes and the man's inability to make wrong right. So we have the NBNU that is established, and let me just go ahead and put this public statement out there that we advocate for protection of, we advocate for the protection against Black skin simulation, the fraudulent mimicking of Negroes and Black Americans' experiences for profit and politics gain. So we opposes the intrusions of outside groups that seek to dilute the distant recognition of foundational Black Americans, and we try to strip them from their historical rights by prohibiting false affiliation and grant seeking the legal claims. We intend to stop the distortion of federal laws and financial benefits. Our goal is to ensure that the history, the sacrifices, and achievement of Negro American remain unappropriated and authentically represented will stop. So that's just to let you all know that we have begun to put in our grievance policies together to be specific as far as the harm that has been caused against, the foundational Black Americans. No, Maxie, no, that has been caused against the Black Americans, and basically we have human beings who are just ignoring it, or looking the other way, or justifying the wrongs that should be made right since the emancipation of slavery. So I'm here to I'm not asking you anything. I'm here to demand, to receive, to take, and to judge. So it's already in effect, and it's pretty much nothing that nobody can do about it. I have to just do my job, and just put it out there and let individuals know that the NBNU world government is out and about. It is protected by the 1863 laws of the emancipation that by itself separated me, you, and anybody else as a nation of people. And with those laws has tied my children, or my heirs, which are foundational Black Americans, in which I seek to protect and cover under the Human Rights Acts, under the Declaration of Independence, under all the president proclamations and mandates that I have already been implemented and given to us. It's just so happened that our ancestors didn't have the ability to put their freedom together to claim their rights to be a sovereign, independent state, which I have done. The paperwork is already in, and once again, there's nothing you could do about it. And so we are already a state within a state and a nation within the nation. We already got our mandates. We got our declarations of independence. We got our constitutions. We already considered a federal vendors. We already acknowledged by a lot of your representatives. The whole nine works has been in effect while you've been so busy stealing monies from us. I've been very busy putting a wall to protect against you. So that's the NBNU. Just wanted to put that out to be assertive and to be direct as far as our improvement, as far as our unions that has been put out there, as far as us structuring our organization and organized with the intent to make sure that we are acknowledged not as last, but as first. We're not begging for anything. We're no longer on our knees. We're here to stand strong, stand proud, and to judge any matter that comes against us, that weighs against us. For anything that is unrighteous, we're here to judge it, to remove it, to discard it, and to destroy it.
Brother Roland.
Yeah, I actually second that. That is the goal. It's just the siphoning of resources. It's insane to me. One of the other things,
Brother Roland, before you go on to your next point, just let the audience know the contact information.
yes, you can reach out to our email address, tnbkhc@gmail.com. We also, let me grab the cell phone number as well. You guys can reach out and call us as well at the number of 302-551-9722. That is 302-551-9722. We'll be more than glad for people to actually reach out and work with us because we have an event that's coming up in April. So yes, we do need support. We do need at least 100 or so people so that we can start getting this funds being allocated to being dropped off to the people who need it the most, which is us,
Mhm.
us Negroes. So that's one of the things, and I really do appreciate that. Also, if they want to check out our website, the tmbkhc.org, we'll be having some more updates in regards to some of the things and events and stuff that are going on. But we have that as well where people can reach out to us there. We're on X, TNKHBC underscore Negroes. We're there as well. We're on TikTok as well, TNKHBC. So we're there on all your mostly media platforms. We're on the black ones as well. Shout out to EPRN. Shout out to also Fanbase. We're there as well. So we're everywhere. So we want to make ourselves visible.
Okay, now finish saying what you were saying. You're about to make another point.
Yeah, about the ciphering of resources and also the misrepresentation of our community, right? This Black Heritage flag is a Negro Nation flag. That is based off the rallying point, in which I've said, let me grab that book if I can find it real quick. I'll find it another time. But in that book, they specifically said that that is a Negro Nation flag. So when I'm hearing people who are bi-ethnic, people of other ethnic groups that are waving this flag and starting conflicts with their flags on their bios and different things, that puts our lineage in an unnecessary conflicts. And that's some of the
You
things
think
I've
I'm gonna ask you? I'm gonna ask you about that, right?
mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm very. Uh, do you think getting people to understand? Because I really believe that people do play dumb, but most don't understand why um, this has to go on, why it's long overdue. Like when we talk about, and I have to keep going back to delineation because even though I said we delineated, but then what? But no, that don't mean delineation stops. Like you said, because resources, being able to do some different things within the lineage needs to be established. You know, a group of people or a person can only do but so much. Everybody from the lineage needs to do it as a not as a collective, but everybody needs to pull their part in gatekeeping the lineage, trying to get economic resources for the lineage. Let me ask you about that, about people not understanding that. Look, yeah, it's a flag, but you just can't just be using it just to be using it. You have to understand the historical reference for it, and you have to be from the lineage to use it. You don't just wave it because it's the new fad that's in vogue right now. How would you suggest people continue to stay focused? Because people tend to lose focus. Like they may feel like it's more pressing things going on, and gatekeeping the lineage might not be as important. What would you suggest?
I suggest that we should pay attention at all times because we do not want to lose our position here in America and we don't want to lose our positionality here in this world. And if they erase what we have accomplished, that means there's no record of us, which will lead into that Negro annihilation that what Sister Kim is talking about. And I'll even point to an example of Mona Leah. I made a post about her. This woman has a Pan African ideology. She believes in Ifa. I think in regards to her faith, she has expressed those type of things on various different channels. And this woman put our Negro Nation flag, our heritage flag, with other groups of people. And I said that the fraud that she's portraying, or the illusion that she is portraying, and through the guise of her art, is saying that we're in solidarity and that we have contracts, that we have relationship with those nations. The reality is we do not have relationships with all those nations that she had in her video. We don't. And that symbolism, that's what we call false symbolism. Fake, and what is being simulated is this relationship that's if Nigeria is transferring resources here to Negro people and we're trading back with them. That's not true. That would be Pan-Africanism, and that has never been done. So when you look at other nations, when they put flags right next to each other, like sometimes you might see United States and a Japanese flag, that's because they signed an agreement. That's because they signed a deal. That's because they have a trade going on, and they're in part that's showing their partnership and solidarity. What partnership and solidarity do the Negro people have on their own with any of these African nations here on this face of this planet at this time frame? You're not going to really find one. And don't say, and for those Pan-Africans who's probably listening to the playback, don't point off and say, well, you guys got citizenship with some of these African nations. Yeah, we know the red tape that goes along with that as well. So it's not a real concrete agreement between our people and their nation. This is the reason why it's important to have the NBNU and have a front government that is facing other and interacting with other governments. Governments respect governments, and a people without a government is a people that is lost.
Amen.
So we're trying to stop our people from being lost. We're trying to stop our people from getting pillaged, being taken advantage of. That's the reason why the NBNU is here. This is the reason why the Negro Black Knights Heritage Club is here, because we're here to preserve and protect our heritage, which is our God-given right. That's our right. That's our right that our people fought for. That's our rights that we have bled and died for. So the audacity when people try to misappropriate the flag to create a false narrative to say that we're in solidarity with these nations is a part of the problem, is a part of the issues that's been going on. Because now they're creating the illusion that we have a partnership, that we are actually doing things to advance the community. And this is how they get the African Union, the AU, to say that Negroes, Black American people here in the United States are the 6th district without our consent, without us being notified, without us even casting a vote about it. So these are the things that we're trying to prevent so that our people can be safe from global exploitation, because that's what it is, exploitation.
All right. Wow. Yeah, I think you done really sparked it up there. Sister Kim, you have anything you want to add to what he just said?
Yeah, I appreciate Brother Roland just bringing out the importance of us. I think it's very important to hear Brother Roland make an emphasis on the reason why the NBNU is very important, because one of the things we have already put in place is our protective bill, our protective act. That's what we're calling. We have initiated a protective act, and we have already began to collaborate with the Department of Justice and a lot of the other United States Marshal, and we have already began to identify scammers who have already took over $10 billion out of our community. And we have already began to collaborate with them to return at least 581 million of those claims back to to the Negro which will be the foundational Black American heirs, that these individuals have went in, Pan Africans and the Asian community that went into our community and basically orchestrated scams, underground scams, in order to get uh, a lot of money from our community, and it went unnoticed because as we've been dealing with one thing, they've been, looking to the left, and they've been underhandedly robbing us blind. So I agree with Brother Roland to assert, the power of the NBNU to begin to take action, and not ask them for a protection bill, but claim a protection bill and put that protection bill in place with other government officials that allows me to begin to be robust in responding to these invasions, these identity scams, these fraudulent interests, taking people's property from some false claim deed while Black people are in the military, going into our community, kicking older people out, doing all these illicit things that is unhuman and just demonic, and just basically no one's being able to, put a judicial stop on it, or no one, all these, other so-called agencies or organizations out there that historically are supposed to be representing us, who have basically switched sides, who has basically found reasons to be Judas's eyes Iscariot's, two-faces, individuals, and, for money gain and profit, they have contributed to our downfall. And then they go and they run and hide, and they put their face, they put their face like cockatrice eggs. They go hide and stick their head in the sand and say, oh no, that's not how it go. We were fighting for you. Oh no, that wasn't us. Y'all got it wrong. Oh no, you Black people always seem to miss the point. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. You're a politician wrong. They always come up with some kind of excuse when they are just basically, good for nothing, trifling, politicians who use, the trust of Black people because you have Black skin, and then lead us down a road of destruction where we have no way to return. No place to return. No, we have no, resources. More of us is homeless due to COVID. More of us is homeless due to the immigration takeover. More of us is homeless, and we're missing a lot of us because of cultures who came over here and despised us. A lot of us is coming up missing, and no patrol out here. There's no more Black Panthers out here running down these individuals and protecting our community. So our policies and grievances out there now, where we are now, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We're kicking butts and taking names, whether you like it or not. And so we're scheduling invoices and damages that has been going on, and we're running into the necessary individuals to let them know that this harm is no longer gonna go unnoticed. The things that you have been doing must stop. If you all about being so heroic and you could come over here and you're great with your abilities, then why didn't you to build America before we got here? If you were already here making, you were so exceptional in your gifts, then why you needed to go steal Negroes from Negro lands. So stop saying we don't know where we come from. We do. We know we came from Negro lands. And stop stealing us, taking things from us, and then lying about it. And then when it's time for us to respond with comprehensive policies, when it's time for us to respond by building a nation that in turn builds a government and state our independence and sovereignty, just like any other nation, it's time for us to not be last, but be first. You have a problem with our liberation. You have a problem with us identifying right from wrong. You have a problem with us standing on our own square. You have a problem with us saying enough is enough and we can't take no more. You have a problem with us saying we finna judge you according to you being a thief, a robber, a liar, a murderer, and a pedophile. You have a problem with us being something that you are not. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's not America, but it sure is Black Americans. And I'll land with that.
And yeah, I want to chime in one aspect too. There has been abduction of Black men, women, and children. Hundreds and thousands of our people have been taken over the decades, and there has not been any state of emergency based off the immigrants that have been coming into the United States. And you start to look back at some of these nations in which they come from, where human trafficking of children, men, women, and children is acceptable. It's a form of currency. It's almost a way of life with some of these individuals. And they're bringing these type of dangerous elements to people who just got out of slavery. So keep in mind, they're bringing all these immigrants ever since the Reconstruction era. Dangerous elements, people who invented the drive-by, but now they want to criticize Negroes when we do the drive-by. But they don't punish the Italians and the Irish who were doing the drive-bys, who brought it from wherever they're from here to United States. They're bringing the dangerous elements where you have a Somalian woman who came online and said she wants to go kabooey and explode herself onto foundational Black American people.
She was Senegalese.
Senegalese, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Senegalese. So these are various different people who are coming from dangerous countries where they have children soldiers, and they have these type of mindsets to kill, to destroy, and they have them around your child as if they're a normal child. And that's the hypocrisy. But they want to sit here and talk about black on black crime. Like, seriously. They want to sit here and really talk about black on black crime, but they just left a whole country of children soldiers. They just left a nation where they're human trafficking African bodies. They just left a nation where they're allowing other demographics from all around the world to exploit them. But they want to come over here just to the United States, just to take on the white supremacist talking points of black on black criminality.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta put things in the right perspective.
I agree.
You're on mute, Brother Q.
I know. I'm just listening to what y'all was saying. But wow, y'all just gave us an earful there. But anyway, as we begin to wind down the show, is there something else that you wanted to discuss, Negro?
If you can go to the following pages, because there's a couple of more pages that we can go through. Yeah, the Negro freed slave cultural reconstruction of remedy and relief for restitution, resolution, and to remember. Right. The goal of this is correcting our lineage, putting it into the upright position. Document explicitly to like President Lincoln's power of the power to abolish as a foundational source of independence and statehood. So we're talking about the format of what we're talking about, of why the NBNU was important, how the NBNU was formed, and the jurisdictions and the policies that codify why the NBNU exists. And I think Sister Kim can go in a little bit more details about that, because that's her baby. That's something that she created with her burning the midnight oil with me and her conversing. But that's her baby. And Sister Kim, are you available?
Yeah. So
She's there.
I hope, Q, that you give us an opportunity going forward. I prefer to only give you this exclusive as we begin to rev up and people begin to see and hear the power of the NBNU. They're going to want to start having, more discussing that, of just like Jeff Bezos, and they're going to want to have more understanding about the NBNU, how it was started, how it was reached. But I'm only giving exclusive interviews and information on this site, on this channel, and this channel on only. So if anyone wants to know here, or get an education and understand what we're doing, they can get it from this channel. That'll be okay with you. But with that being said, I want to move into the Negro Black Nation United World Government. It is a combination of the emancipation. It's a combination of including the Declaration of Rights, the Bill of Rights of Independence. It's a combination of human rights, civil rights, and legal authorities that all given us a legal standing to begin to separate ourselves from this madness that's out here, just to kind of get to the point. And with that being said, and it's a restorative justice claims that we're putting together to protect reparation from, we call it encroachment in the law, from encroachment of others who had absolutely nothing to do about the blood that was shed in this land, but yet they have taken upon themselves to be busybodies in another man's affairs. One, that's really against the word of God. And then two, it is ignoring to us, because that's something that you do not see Black Americans do. We do not mess with your Mexican Cintiados or whatever you got going on with that. You don't find us in your, New Year's celebration from the Chinese. We're never in another man's business, as everyone else interferes with our ability to be liberated. And you're afraid to acknowledge us as an examples of something that America is not. So the NBNU uses these qualified mandates in order to demand that the injustice that you think most of us are not able to claim the rights of us being a creditor and you being a debitor, someone who owes a debt to us, that we have the inability to actually put invoices together and say, pay us what you owed us. You think that we have the inability to begin to count and calculate all the harm that you have done. You think we have the inability not to take you to the United States District Courts in Washington, D.C., or you don't think we can take you to the Supreme Court, or you don't think that we have the ability to weaponize a whole Hebrew Israelites of an army, or an army in itself, to begin to gatekeep our rights to be human beings, when you keep denying us that just the common rights as our brothers. You're supposed to be our brothers. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. That's not you all. And since that's not America, I'm here to remind you of that right, whether you like it or not. There's just some of us is just to that point that it's nothing we can do to make a thief stop stealing. There's nothing we can do to stop a murderer from being a murderer, but remove that murderous behavior. So it's time for us to see you for who you are, and judge you accordingly. And we're doing that through the NBNU. And when Brother Roland said that this is my baby, it's our baby. It's our baby to say, as Negro to foundational Black American, is a people for once in your life that you should do right by. It's a people that once in your life you should salute. It's a people that once in your life you should give them lead way to live in a community that has absolutely nothing to do with you. You've already stole our hair, our lips, our walk, our talk. You've already ciphered everything possibly that we have already created and invented. You've already stole that from us. So now what are you trying to do? You're still trying to steal the soul of a man, and I'm not having any of that. So the NBNU has been orchestrated to put in grievance policy, a brotherhood, a unionhood. We have been orchestrated to put in laws and fences and gatekeeping protection. We've been instructed to reach all the way from here to the continent of Africa and demand a corridor for our people who are there, who are wishing to come back with housing. So we are that lighthouse that sit on a hill that cannot be healed, no, it cannot be hidden from the world anymore. So with the NBNU, we have currently, even now, Brother Q, we have, like I said, we have worked closely with understanding that there's a lot of money that has been stolen, that the Department of Justice and the U.S. Marshal has began to let me know that I'm first in line to be the hub to begin to, those claims can be put in through the portals from you signing up or becoming a member and just, being verified through the Negro Black Knight Heritage Club. that we have a site where you could see that we have already retrieved over so much of millions in assets, and we've already began to retrieve and restorative claims. I think it was it was over $581 million. And then we have just recently have a lawsuit pending against the Office of Budget Administration for the commingling and the migration of our ethnicity and race with other people that has cost us. I think this current claim is like $1.4 trillion. And so this particular HUD that we have is only designed for you to say this happened to me, put your information in, and then the claim is paid. It's not a place in which you got to go through banking and then you get arrested for you trying to get your money. It's none of that. You just sign up, you give us the information, and then they go and put your claim in, and then from your phone to the hookup from the United States Marshal and that money been in the HUD. Is then your claim is paid out because there's a claim that you're entitled to because of the injustice. So that's what the NBNU do, is stop the foolishness. It makes wrong right. And I hope that with me saying that, I know you finna get ready to wind down, so I began to speak a little bit faster, and I speak direct to assert what it is that we do. And the wise will hear, but a fool will go his way. So that's all I have to say. What are you laughing at?
Yeah, I think that about sums it up, right?
Um,
We'll probably do another show. Like you said, this is not it might be our second time, but it won't be our last time. Definitely, so we can get into it. I'm having a little difficulty right now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, no, I know.
Brother
It's like,
Roland, any final thoughts, Brother Roland?
yeah, some of the final thoughts is that if we can't complain and continually keep complaining about the injustice that's going on, that is sponsored sometimes by our government, and don't want to seek another option by creating and supporting the government such as NBNU. And I think that this is a good opportunity for us to create our own table that we can sit at, to create our own protections. There was no US government that came when it was Hurricane Katrina. There was no government that came when it came to the piping situation in Detroit, Flint, Michigan, in the Flint, Michigan area. Like these are
Still, Hype
there was
still ain't clean
nobody.
it.
Yeah, they still ain't haven't cleaned it. Jackson, Mississippi. So when you
yeah,
start to look at these atrocities that's been
LA,
going on, I didn't catch that, Sister Kim.
the California fire.
California fires. So these are just some of the things where Black American people have not gotten anything that was owed, but yet still, when it came to the boardwalk in New Jersey, white folks got FEMA to help them out. When it came to certain incidents, when it was majority of them folks, they were able to get the lion's share of FEMA and different things that were needed so that they could feel protected as United States American citizens. This is showing to us that the government that we pay our taxes to is neglecting us because of who we are in our lineage. And instead of us, I would say, continually talking about it, how about we do something about it? I'm more on the offensive. Sister Kim is more on the offensive end on the situation instead of us being reactionary. And that's something that we have been doing for a very long time, unfortunately. And we're still clinging on to the myth that all men are created equal underneath their system. We're still clinging to that myth. And I think it's time for us to um, the only way that that system is still credible if you're still participating in it.
Yeah, and it's time to cut the head off
Yeah,
the beast. Yeah, it's time to get rid of it. It's not working for us. It never have, and it never will. We have had 500 and something years to be able to see if there's any honor in man, and they have failed us for these many years. What do you think that they're going to do in the next remaining year? Absolutely nothing. I have grandchildren, children, and sons and stuff that I would like to, leave a legacy of righteousness and honor and something to protect them in a world that they're unprotected. So I hope that we are given an opportunity to enlarge on the practice of the NBNU, the protection that we're working on, the public announcements that we have going on, just all the wonderful things that we're doing to bring our people into solidarity, to unite once again. United we stand, and divided we fall. I just hope that the words that I'm saying that hits the righteous amongst us and begin to pull us together, and you can see for yourself. And so with that, I'll land, and I appreciate you once again, Brother Q, and I appreciate you too, Brother Roland. I appreciate your audience for, giving us an opportunity to introduce, the heritage, the 7 R's and what we're trying to do to protect you. The efforts, and we'll be putting up our digital wallet so you could be able to go and see how the NBNU is, working in your behalf to protect your interests and retrieving funds that you could just put your claims in and receive the funds that are already, structured for you to receive in the first place.
and yeah, I appreciate you, Q, for allowing us to be on your platform and taking the time out in your busy schedule to support what we're doing over here as well.
No problem. You guys are more than welcome, and we'll look forward to our next conversation. And I'm glad you guys could join us tonight. With that, remember the best way to support the channel is like, share, subscribe. Until next time, take care. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.